The first time I realized my wife had turned our living room into a courtroom, I was standing in the doorway, still holding my car keys, watching 4 women stare at me like I was the one on trial. They sat in a neat semicircle on our couch, knees crossed, coffee mugs in their hands, eyes cold and rehearsed. My wife, Layla, sat in the middle, spine straight, lips tight with a strange, trembling kind of confidence. "We've talked," she said. Her friends nodded in unison. Nadia, Farah, Samra, and Rima. Women I had hosted dinners for. Women whose children had slept in our guest room. Women I'd helped move couches and fix broken sinks for. "We've decided it's time to divorce you," Layla added, folding her hands in her lap. The word "we" echoed in my skull. I smiled at first. Reflex. Like your face trying to protect your heart before it shatters. "We." Layla didn't blink. "I can't stay married to someone who doesn't make me feel alive anymore." Her friends smirked. Actually smirked. Something inside my chest went terrifyingly quiet. I looked at each of them one by one and said calmly, "So none of you care she's been seeing your husbands?" The silence that followed wasn't clean. It was violent. Mugs froze midair. Smirks collapsed. Nadia's fingers tightened so hard around her cup it rattled against the saucer. "What did you just say?" Samra whispered. I stepped further into the room and gently set my car keys on the table. I repeated softly, "I guess it doesn't matter that she's been sleeping with your husbands." Layla's face drained of color so fast it scared even me. That was the moment everything tipped. But the truth is, I'd been living inside that quiet dread long before that scene. It started with her phone. Not the phone itself, but the way she held it. Like it was fragile. Like it contained oxygen she couldn't live without. She turned it face down every time I walked in. Changed passwords. Muted notifications. And started smiling at nothing. "Work's been stressful," she'd say when I asked why she was always distant. "You wouldn't understand," when I asked who she was texting. I tried to be the good husband. The trusting one. I told myself love meant giving space. But love doesn't feel like living with a stranger. The first crack in my world came from Nadia's husband, Cameron. He called me one night drunk. "She talks too much about your wife," he slurred. "Always asking about her, what she likes, what perfume she wears." I laughed it off. Men say stupid things when they're drunk. I wish I hadn't. The second crack came when I found receipts in Layla's bag. 2 coffees, 2 movie tickets, 2 desserts. On days she told me she was working late. I didn't confront her. I wanted to believe her. You don't realize how much of yourself you'll betray just to avoid the truth. The real breaking point came when I followed her. I parked 2 streets away from the cafe she said she was meeting friends at. I watched through the glass window as she laughed, leaned closer, touched his hand. He wasn't a stranger. He was Rima's husband. I felt my heart try to escape my chest. But I still didn't say anything. I wanted to understand. I wanted to know if she felt guilty, if she struggled the way I was. But guilt didn't live on her face. She looked alive. That hurt the most. I started noticing patterns. Samra's husband's car parked too close to ours at night. Farah's husband suddenly working late. The same nights Layla said she had errands. Pieces began falling into place, slow and ugly. I collected proof without even meaning to. Photos of cars. Screenshots of messages she forgot to delete. Receipts she stuffed into pockets carelessly. And the final piece. A text that flashed across her screen when she left it unlocked on the kitchen counter. "I miss how you taste." It wasn't from me. So when I walked into that living room and heard, "We've decided it's time to divorce you," I wasn't surprised. I was tired, broken, ready. Her friends stared at her like she'd been shot. "That's not true," Nadia breathed, eyes wide. Layla stood up so fast her cup spilled. "You promised," she hissed at me. "You promised you wouldn't say anything." I tilted my head slowly. "You promised you wouldn't destroy our marriage." Samra stood shaking. "My husband would never." "He would," I said. "In my back seat. 3 weeks ago." The room felt like it cracked down the middle. No one smirked anymore. Rima's lips started trembling. "You're lying." I pulled out my phone and placed it on the table. Photo after photo. Car windows fogged up. Hands on thighs. Her lipstick on collars. Silence pressed down so hard I thought the walls might collapse. Layla started crying. Real crying. Not the pretty kind. The ugly, gasping kind. "You weren't supposed to find out," she whispered. That sentence finished something inside me. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "I was lonely." Just, "You weren't supposed to catch me." Her friends left one by one. No hugs. No loyalty. No sisterhood. Just shattered trust and shaking hands. By the time the door closed, it was just me and her. She slid down against the wall and looked at me through swollen eyes. "I felt invisible," she said. "I felt like no one saw me anymore." I stared at her. "I built my life around seeing you." She tried to reach for my hand. I stepped back. That hurt her. I saw it. But not as much as she hurt me. "I didn't plan for it to go that far," she whispered. "It just happened." I let out a bitter laugh. 4 times. With 4 husbands. That's not something that just happens. She covered her face. "I was empty." "So was I said. "But I didn't climb into someone else's bed." We slept in separate rooms that night. Not because I told her to. But because love had quietly died between us. And neither of us had the strength to bury it properly. In the weeks that followed, everything unraveled. Divorces. Screaming. Lawyers. Children crying. Families divided. But what stayed with me wasn't the chaos. It was the quiet moments. Me standing alone in the kitchen at 2 a.m., staring at a coffee cup that used to be ours. Her side of the bed untouched. The echo of laughter that no longer lived in the walls. On the final day, when she packed her suitcase, she paused at the door. "Did you ever love me?" she asked. Thought about that. About the version of her I married. About the woman who used to curl into my chest and whisper dreams. "I loved the woman you were," I said. "Not the one you became." She nodded. That hurt her. I saw it. But not everything broken can be fixed. Now, sometimes I sit alone and wonder when the shift happened. When love turned into distance. When trust turned into secrets. But I've learned something painful and honest. Being loyal to someone who has already left you is the loneliest kind of love there is. And the night she tried to divorce me in front of her friends. That wasn't the moment my marriage ended. It ended long before that. The moment she chose someone else's arms over the home we built together. And all I could do was finally tell the truth out loud.